It's time for Remodel Revolution. And now, an award-winning contractor with over 40 years experience. Here is Alex.
Welcome to another episode of Remodel Revolution, and welcome to the year 2020, a new decade. Oh my gosh. I realized that I told my wife, who's asked me for many years why I keep doing this, and I said, honey, we're going into our third decade, not three straight decades, but our third decade, and we still haven't made any money. So congratulations. We're coming to you live from the Remodel Revolution World Headquarters, deep in the heart of Texas. We're so glad to be here with you. We're so glad you're here with us. Thank you so much for watching the show today. I'm your host, Alex Guthrie. I am a lifetime contractor. I've been in the remodeling building industry, commercial and residential, since the 1970s. I have grown up, I'm born and raised in Dallas. My family's from Dallas. And I passionately love doing this show and sharing my experiences with you. So I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. And thank you so much for being here. And I hope you continue to stay with our show. Also, check out our YouTube channel. It's Remodel Revolution on YouTube. Also, you can go to, of course, you're on Facebook watching us right now. So it's Facebook, Remodel Revolution Show on Facebook. We're also on Twitter. We're on all of the major podcast sites. Our podcast is Remodel Revolution. We're on Pandora, iHeart, iTunes, Spotify, all of them. The show goes up in 3 parts on the podcast, usually the next day at the latest. And it's a lot of fun to listen to as well. So thanks for being here. Today I have, for the first guest of this new decade and this new year, a lady that I really, really like. She is a lot of fun. She is very smart. She has built a fantastic business in a short period of time, largely on social media platforms, and of course hard work and dedication and great quality and all that stuff, with her husband, Kimba Garcia. Hello, Kimba.
Hi, Alex.
How are
Thanks so
you?
much for having me.
I'm so glad you're here. I really am. We're going to have so much fun. I informed Kimba just a few minutes ago that she's my co-host today.
I can do it.
I had her thinking that it was going to be a 10-minute interview. Boy, I got you, didn't I?
That's okay. I'm cool with it. I'm here.
I was looking at trends. I was kind of looking through stuff, and I was looking at trends, 2020 trends. And I know we discussed this just a couple of weeks ago. We had a designer on, and that was a lot of fun. But I saw some other things that I thought were really a lot of, it's actually a friend of mine, Jamie Gold. She's in LA, and she's a designer. And I was looking through Forbes, and they have run an article that she wrote about 2020 trends. And I thought some of it was interesting because, as always, when you get to your, sixth decade of life, you start seeing things coming back around that is now a trend, but you grew up with in your grandmother's kitchen. And so I was telling Kimba about this. And so when you do a lot, let's talk about what you do, what your company does.
Okay.
You're RKG, roofing and construction.
Correct.
So you do not just roofing, but you do remodeling. And do you build new homes or just remodeling?
We do build new homes. That's something that we're looking to branch more into in the next couple of years. Like you said, we've been in business about 3.5 years, and we've become more known for our roofing side, but we really started out in renovations. So that's, so that's really where my husband and I's passion lies, because that's what kicked off RKG. We did roofs with renovations, and we did roofs as they dropped in our lap, but that wasn't what got the ball rolling on the company.
Okay.
It was the renovation
That's interesting
side.
because, of course, I thought it was the other way around.
And most people do. That's why I like to specify. So I definitely have a passion for older homes and making them into new spaces, which is why I love that we're talking about trends today.
For me, the part of the remodeling that I've loved and I've always talked about, the reason I love it is because you're taking an older home typically and you're giving it all new life. You're expanding it. You're giving it another 20, 30 years of life. And for somebody, and it's always exciting when you have a client because everybody's excited. They're into the deal. They're into the project. It changes. You're making something better.
Yeah.
And I have this horribly, I have a sweet tooth, really bad sweet tooth. You can tell by looking at me, I have a sweet tooth.
No.
I also have a horrible creative tooth. I have to keep creating stuff. I cannot quit doing it. I have to keep moving forward. And that's what I love about remodeling because it touches that creative side of me and I'm so passionate about.
Yeah, definitely.
And so you, are doing, you're working in Dallas and Fort Worth?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we handle the DFW Metroplex and about a 70-mile radius around it.
Wow, that's a lot. That's a lot of ground to cover.
It is. Yeah.
And it's you and your husband.
Correct. Yes.
And so you are a woman in construction.
Yes.
Yeah, you're the big boss. Now, how does that relationship work? Is he in the field all day and you're doing the social media and the office and managing the really important part of the business?
That's what I tell people. I drive the bus. Robbie does run. Of course, we have project managers, and I don't like to leave them out because they have become part of the team. We've escalated and grown really quickly, and we've had to add to the team, to make that work efficiently. So it's not just a 2-people operation anymore, but it started that way. And Robbie definitely handles the field productions. And to be honest with you, he's our best sales guy. Robbie is so passionate about going into your home or even flip houses for investors. And he's really good about taking something and seeing what it can be and then being able to convey that message in a way that makes the customer really excited to do the project. So he's honestly my best sales guy. I mean,
so when you're selling a project, whether it's a new home or a remodel, and probably really in any business, probably one of the most important things you have to bring to the table is your passion.
Yeah.
Plus, you have to be able to communicate that passion to your client.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the hard part, to be able to go in and, because a lot of people that don't do what we do, they can't see the finished picture until it's done.
And a lot of times that's why they call us. I know you get this. I do it all the time. I have people say, well, I can't visualize. I don't know how to. And so it's either has to be on paper or what's this going to look like? Well, our job when we go in for you as a homeowner actually is to convey that verbally to sort of get you to understand before we take the next step, which is when you're going to start investing time and money and your emotions into it.
Yes.
Yeah, that's part of it. So now we move into the trends, the 2020 trends. So here we are in January 2020. It's things have been rocking crazy now for 5 years. It's been crazy. It has been absolutely insane in this business and in this market, and I think it's going to stay that way.
I do too.
And I just don't see anything slowing down. Trend-wise, one of the things that caught my eye is one of the trends we're noticing is the move to semi-open spaces. Now, every time I have a person, whether it's the wife or whoever it is, tell me I want my sink in a countertop without a lip in front of it. I want it just a flat top and no barriers in front of it. I think to myself, I hope you have somebody cleaning your kitchen.
Because, the island sinks.
Yeah, the island sink that is because let me back up because we're almost always doing this with this big open room, right? That combines living areas, and oops.
I left mine over there, so I didn't, so I wasn't the guilty party.
Okay, that's me. Okay, Ziggy's gonna tap me for $5 now.
Unprofessional.
Unprofessional, he says. Well, we'll just turn that off. So we were doing these semi. Bye bye. Okay, we were doing these semi-open areas years ago, and we were adding archways and adding all of these kind of visual barriers. Now, I love it if it's done correctly. I don't like it when it's not. When it's not, to me, it just looks like they were trying to stick some. Let's put a column over here.
Exactly.
Or it'll be it'd be easier. And so you walk in, and you go, well, I know why they did that.
Exactly. Yeah. And that is the purpose for a lot of that. Is it was easier, it was cheaper. But like you said, if done right, it can look good. Definitely look good.
What I like is when we have tall ceilings, and I don't think enough emphasis is put on using the ceiling. Now, we did it for years and years when we would do either a vaulted or a barrel ceiling or some nice feature up above you. And the thing that's changed it for me really is LED lighting.
Yes.
Because LED lighting has really, it's better light.
Yeah.
Right?
It's a lot more natural.
Yeah. It's better light. It's a cleaner light. There's a lot more options in it, a lot more options in light color, right?
Yes. Yes.
But you can do this cool ceiling and have some cool lighting.
Absolutely.
Are you doing a lot of that type of stuff in your houses?
Yeah, we have been. Almost every house that we go in gets can lighting. That's just one of our the features that we do, and a lot of it. We really brighten up the space a lot. It makes it look bigger, cleaner, crisper when you go in with the white light, natural light. And then we are putting up a lot of pendant lighting, and chandeliers. So chandeliers over the bathtub, pendants over the island. And then over the sink sometimes if it makes sense. Over the real pretty chandelier over the tables. But lighting has become a real focal point to people's homes in these renovations.
One of the things that I love about the LED lighting is that we can affect the energy consumption of the house so greatly. We can reduce it so much.
So much.
And so I really love the idea that you can take an older home that's like an energy dinosaur.
Yeah. Yes.
Then it feeds on electricity and it feeds on gas, and you're like, how do I pay these bills? Because of course, when they built a lot of those older houses, energy was cheap. Nobody was thinking about it.
Right. We weren't on a limited supply.
Right.
As much.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And you weren't spending gazillions of dollars on electricity by putting. Of course, we were going in the older homes, and we're introducing air conditioning systems to houses that weren't built for it, so it costs that much more to run it.
Right.
At any rate, we can go now and we can take our LED lighting and we can convert a house to LED lighting and knock the crud out of the energy consumption.
Especially with smart light bulbs and Alexas and apps and all these cool things that they have now. I mean, there's no more leaving a light on when you leave the house. You can just program it to turn off at a certain time and things like that. So yeah, technologies came so far in with the lighting in the houses. Definitely.
I have a client that lives out of the country.
Yeah.
And every now and then we're doing their house, and he'll send me a text and he'll go, "Can I turn the alarm off now?" So, set the alarm. Yeah. And I go, "Well, no, you're not here, so they're going to work till 10 o'clock tonight, but I'll let you know." But the amazing thing to me is how we're able to communicate, and he can do these things from home.
He can probably even watch. I mean, we put Ring cameras up at our renovations so we can see what I do as a contractor. I'm like, I need to see what's happening there.
Yeah.
Prevents theft. I do it for theft reasons, really, not to overly babysit my crews and micromanage, but for theft purposes.
I will watch them like a hawk, but I don't want my client watching them.
Yeah, exactly. I get that.
Another trend that is in Jamie's article is convection and induction cooking. And I love induction. Now I went to and looked at a kitchen that was sort of and this is several years ago. And at the time it was just a really kind of state-of-the-art kitchen where they'd combine gas, induction, a giant sink that was probably at least 3 or 4, well, at least 3 or 4 feet, maybe it's at least 4 feet.
Yeah.
And that had one big sink, but you had multiple compartments and accessories that went on the sink. And this was their ultimate kitchen.
Yeah.
And they had on each end of that island where the sink was, they had single induction burners and single gas burners.
Cool.
So it was almost like a sous chef little prep area.
So many options.
Yeah.
So many things you can do.
And then induction. So we'll talk about induction. So here's what induction is. Induction is, and I'm not going to tell you the science behind it because I'm not that smart if you haven't figured it out already. But what I can tell you is that what essentially induction does is it heats the pan without having the heat floating through the room. It's not like electric or gas where you lose 40-50% of the energy as it evaporates out and up your exhaust fan. What induction does is it actually makes the pan itself hot. You can actually touch the surface the pan's on. And one of the things that I do is if I want to cook a steak or I want to like fry fish or something, I'll take our little induction burner outside, and because I have 2 of them actually that plug in. And I set it outside and I crank that baby up really hot and I put a paper towel over it. And my wife's like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
I go, "Well, I don't have to clean it."
There you go.
And so
That
this
feels
is
scary though. You're like, paper towel.
I know. And so
you're good. Yeah.
I set my pan on the paper towel. I get it blazing hot. I make my mess. And when I'm all finished, all I have to do is pull the paper towel out and
Nice.
throw it away. Cleanup's done.
Can't beat that.
That's how guys clean things.
Yeah.
With
I know. I have one. I have one of y'all at home. Totally know.
Well, aren't you lucky?
Yeah. He thinks so.
He does. He knows so.
He knows so. Yeah.
You've proven it. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, more with Kimba Garcia. We're going to talk some more trends. We'll be right back. The hardest working and arguably most important system in our homes is our air conditioning and heating system. It heats the air, it cools the air, and it filters the air. That's why it's so critical to have it checked and maintained by the very best professionals available. It's time to contact Total Air and Heat at totalair.com. Get that system pruned and tuned. If you want to have the very best experience, you've got to hire the very best company. Total Air's employees are honest, well-trained, and thoroughly background checked. I never have to worry about sending their technicians out to my clients' homes. Family owned and operated for 3 generations, Total Air and Heat has been a fixture in North Dallas for over 60 years. Total Air is a proud dealer of the Trane air conditioning systems, and you know how hard it is to stop a Trane, so give them a call at 972-881-0020. That's 972-881-0020, or contact them at totalair.com today. 2020 is upon us, and things are moving rapidly in many directions technology-wise. Kimba and I I'm with my friend Kimba Garcia. She's co-hosting with me today, and we've been talking about LED lighting and things like that, and how it's affecting the way we're remodeling houses now. Kimba and her husband own a remodeling RKG roofing and construction in Fort Worth, Texas, and they do a lot of remodeling, and they're a young company, but through a lot of hard work and hustle and smart moves that Kimba makes, the husband, well, you know, he's the guy with the hard hat, and the wife, she's the brains. That's how that's how my company works as well.
Got to have the woman running the ship.
Somebody's got to make the smart decision. I'll tell you, now, I've been doing this a long time, and I've learned many, many years ago that the best advice I got in my business was when I actually listened to the women in my business, because it seemed like the guys were always trying to CYA, and it seemed like the women were always telling me the guys were trying to CYA.
What do you know?
I don't know. There's something about the female perspective that is so different from the
We're
male
very
perspective.
intuitive creatures. I mean, that's what it. Yeah.
You are. And
Yeah.
you're not afraid to tell us. You know, like the
No.
guys, they don't want to tell me when they screw something up. They just try to scratch a little dirt over it. and then the women are saying, "Do you realize what that guy's doing to you?"
Right.
Have you had to have that conversation with your husband?
Yes.
Have you had to tell him that
Absolutely.
somebody is taking him to the cleaners?
Absolutely. I'm glad that he started listening this last year
Oh,
because
it took a
Yeah.
few butt kickings for me, but I finally started listening.
yeah, I think he started to realize when it's happening too. You know,
Yeah.
that's one of the things you got to, as a business owner, a person in general, but really in business, you have to be able to fill out people's character.
Well,
Matters.
you have to be able to uh, be tough enough to address it too, because what happens when you're a small business owner, you love your employees,
Yes.
you trust them 100%, or you wouldn't have them.
Right.
But there's always the possibility, and I've experienced it several times, where they had me fooled. I mean,
Yeah.
they had me
Yep.
snowed, and I was taking care of them like they were my stepkids.
I know.
And they took total advantage of me. So you know how I always found out every single time?
Your wife told you.
The person in the
The lady in the office?
or the lady in the office that is looking at it from her perspective and going,
Yeah.
"You have any idea what this guy's doing to you?" And I was like, "No, but he's fired."
Yeah. Well, we're like elephants. You know, we keep track records. We don't forget things, and that's
Yeah.
what I tell my husband. I'm like, I don't expect anybody to be perfect. We all have bad days. We have character flaws. But when you have to pull the plug is when that pattern starts to become really consistent, and it's just always something with that one person. Then you just know, and it's not worth killing the culture over. You know, a bad person.
No, I mean
Bad hire.
people have problems. I get that. And
Yeah.
people have to reach out, and some of them do a better job of it. So you know, we all have to go through we go through these things in life, but it's recognizing that there's a problem, and then sometimes you just have to have tough love. You know, you just say, "Look, bud, you're gonna have to get on your own feet. I
That's
can't
it.
do it for you."
Exactly.
Okay, enough of that.
Yeah.
It's too deep.
There's
too
your
heavy.
life lesson for the day.
Yeah, that's it.
Let's get
That's
back to fun stuff.
the contractor's life lesson today.
Yeah.
You're fired.
Yeah. That's another show. That's not our show.
Faucets with motion and hands-free technology have moved more to the mainstream already, but will continue to be sought after in the coming year onward, given the increased focus on wellness. Now, my friend Jamie Gold is a wellness designer, so that's part of what she
Wow.
does, which is really fascinating.
That's
to me.
really cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I love that.
And what this is speaking to is how you, the wellness part of this discussion on these faucets and other things that are coming, technologies that are coming before us, is that it's easier to use. So let's say you're an older person and you have arthritis. Your hands aren't working really well. Instead of having to grab a handle and turn a faucet, turn the water on, you can actually wave your hand underneath it. It's a motion sensor.
Yeah.
Or in some cases, you just touch the side of the faucet to turn it on and off. One of the things that I found fascinating about this is that they have technology in faucets that deliver a pre-programmed amount of water. And now I thought that was
That
really
is.
fascinating.
It is. It really is.
So I when Kim and I were discussing this a little while ago, and I was telling her the story about a client I put a pop filler in for, and she was having fun playing with it. She put the pot on the stove, and she pulls the pop filler over. She says, "Oh, wow, I got my pop filler." She turns the water on. Then she goes over and starts vacuuming or something, and floods the kitchen.
Right. And that'll happen quick with the pot filler.
That's right,
Yeah.
that's
There's
right.
no drain underneath it like your sink.
So that pre-programmed amount of water could be a really good thing for that
Really
lady.
can.
Yeah.
Especially on the pot fillers.
So the other
Yes.
thing with the pop filler, they're really good, but if you're like a smaller person and you set a big pot on the stove empty, you put a
It gets heavy.
it gets-
You gotta keep going to the gym.
water
lift
is
the pot
8
up.
pounds a gallon.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, that gets heavy quick. Definitely.
So those are some of the trends. One of the there's another trend that I really love right now. We've talked about the lighting, and that is the whole house control systems.
Yeah.
And that's where you can put in a Nest thermostat and have a whole system in there that your house speaks to you and you run off your phone.
Yeah, those
Are you guys putting some of that in?
we
Using
don't
some
we
of
don't
that?
actually install them. I've done some renovations where they're using some of those features, not a full smart house where you're saying make my coffee and it's turning
Right.
it on, and I wish I'd scream that down to my coffee pot every morning. But we are seeing a lot more people move into the digital world when it comes to running their home security systems, with the Ring cameras and the Nest and all the different things. So yeah, I think more and more people, I think most people have at least a Nest or Ring camera
Well,
now.
it's a generational thing as well, because the younger people that are the new home buyers
Yeah.
you've grown up with this stuff.
Yeah,
and
for the most
you
part.
depend on it.
Yes.
Us
100%
us old guys, we just lock the window.
Yeah. Yeah.
Put
and
a
I-
chair in front of the front door.
But nowadays,
Buy
and
a dog.
I hate to be. I have two, and I hate to be this person, but it's like your Amazon packages. None of us go to the store at all, hardly
Amazon
anymore.
packages.
and
Oh my gosh.
all your things get delivered or whatever.
do you have your groceries delivered?
I do. I
Oh
do.
my
I do.
gosh.
I have almost. I don't buy dog food. I try to avoid the grocery store if I can. There's an app called Favor. If you don't have it, download it. We'll have to get an
Favor?
endorsement for that. No, I'm kidding. But Favor will bring you anything. You want cookies at midnight? Favor,
Really?
favorite. Be there in 30 minutes. Yeah.
Wow, wow. They need to do something like that after they legalize pot. I could.
That's probably coming too.
I
There'll probably be an
swear
app
to God,
for
I
that.
turned that stupid
I
phone
thought
off.
you turned it all the way off.
I did. I thought. Okay. So we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we are going to talk about some roofing advice that Kimba really wanted to talk about today. We'll be right back. Sometimes it's a question of do I call or don't I call the foundation repair company? Well, what if I tell you that I know a foundation repair company that will tell you if you don't need foundation repair? That's right. Hargrave and Hargrave Foundation Repair has been in business for over 50 years, and they know the difference. One of the last family-owned foundation repair businesses in North Texas. Not only are they honest, they know what causes your foundation to move, and they know how to fix it. Don't be duped by fly-by-night foundation companies that provide shortcuts and messy fixes. Call Hargrave and Hargrave Foundation Repair at 972-442-3415. At the first sign of trouble, Hargrave uses the Chance Helical Pier system exclusively because it's the highest quality, most reliable helical pier money can buy. 972-442-3415 or contact them at hargravefoundation.com. Well, not only have we recently gone through a tornado that was devastating to a large swath of North Texas and a lot of really swanky neighborhoods and not so swanky neighborhoods. It doesn't matter where you live. If you get your roof blown off or your house damaged, it is just as devastating. And we know that the process of going through the recovery part of that, the rebuilding part, is extremely difficult to go through. It takes a lot of time, takes a lot of effort. There's no quick fixes. I actually have a client that thought they had everything settled with the insurance company until they started getting the pricing. They got the pricing from the insurance company, then they started getting the bids from the people to rebuild their house and fix it, and found out just how low the insurance company was shooting for them. Mm-hmm. And so it completely put a stop to the project. I mean, it just stopped. There wasn't anything they could do. They didn't have enough money to fix it. And this is not uncommon.
No.
One of the most common, the first thing that happens during this, and in our upcoming, now we're in January, but in Texas, in this part of Texas, we're only really 6 weeks away from our major storm season, which is pretty close. The roofing industry has been through quite a change here in the state. We've had to pass some laws like they've had to do in a lot of states, particularly in the South, coastal states for sure, with roofing companies that are just not quite cutting it. You know, they're shady. Let's just say that.
Very political way for you to say
Yeah,
that.
I was trying to be nice, as I may know some of them.
Right. I do.
And one of the things I asked Kimba to address with me, since I do roofing, is some of the there's two things that happen. It's the mistakes homeowners make dealing with their roofing. I asked her to talk about the 3 biggest mistakes that homeowners make when choosing a roofing contractor, and then what are the things that she finds most common that a shady roofer is leaving behind for her to come and fix.
Well, let's start with 3 things homeowners make
Let's do that.
3 things homeowners make a mistake on. I'm going to make sure I try to stay on topic because I have a lot of thoughts and they almost flood my mind when I'm asked these questions because it is what I deal with every day. The first thing I say, and I tell everybody to watch out for, is the person that is pitching you with, I'm going to waive your deductible. I tell people to be very careful about somebody that's going to promise you an unknown number of an unknown amount without even seeing any paperwork first, for one. For 2, it's illegal. And 3, you most likely are going to get a less quality roof for that. And when you understand the way that insurance companies pay out, it's a little easier to understand when you understand what depreciation is and that process of getting depreciation released.
So if a roofer comes in and says, I'll do your roof for no profit, which is essentially what they're saying. When they're saying, I'm going to waive the deductible. Don't worry about the deductible. How can you do that? I mean, you're just saying, oh, we'll just do it for free.
Well, and I use a little I don't know what you call it, but the letter system, right? And I call it limp. And then I'll ask my homeowner, okay, well, and we have to limp through the project then because we're cutting the budget, right? So which part of this do we want to sacrifice? Do we want to do labor? Do we want to do materials? Do we want to do insurance? I guess I should go in order.
Labor,
insurance, materials, or profit. And of course, your average homeowner is going to say, well, profit. There's enough money there.
Yeah.
Cut the profit. And I'm like, well, my company puts this really great 5-year labor warranty on your roof, which means if you have any problems for 5 years out of the labor part of this, and we all know if a roof's done wrong, it's going to show the problems in 5 years. Outside of that's going to be a manufacturer's warranty, which you'll also have. But my thing is I need to be in business in 5 years. I have to be able to cover overhead, and we have to be able to make money. So warranties are so important with roofing because even the best roofing contractor, there might be something that happens. We don't deal with a lot of warranty claims at my company, but there've been a few, and I consider us to be really good at what we do. So things can happen. You want to make sure that you're in some type of warranty, and the guys that are cutting themselves in the throat just won't be here to honor that warranty.
Well, otherwise they wouldn't be. Otherwise,
their own throat. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, one thing I tell homeowners is make sure that any company you hire has an office local, not in Taiwan.
Right. Yeah. They'll use the satellite offices to have the addresses for the Google and all of those things. So it's good to have for somebody to have an office that you can visit and really see what they're about.
Well, and then of course check the Better Business Bureau. That's the fastest way to check a company is the Better Business Bureau. Now, understanding that anybody that's been in business a long time, I am the sole exception of this, has complaints. It's not whether or not you've had a complaint; it's how have you dealt with the complaint.
Right.
Things happen that you can't control as a business owner, but how are you dealing with it? Or are you backing up? So, those are. Homeowner, did we get through the 3 mistakes of the homeowner? Yeah.
I would like to just go just one step further on what you just said. So some of the questions that I would like all the homeowners out there to know to ask the roofing contractor before you choose one is going to be, do you have insurance? In the state of Texas, we don't have to have a contractor's license to be a roofer at all. So it's really hard to know who actually knows their stuff. And that's one thing I have to give my husband credit on is he's one of the very few roofing company owners that actually can get up there and lay the shingles and has done that since he was 10 years old. He can actually do the trade. We're not just subbing it out. We have in-house crews, things like that. So you want to make sure you're not working with a roofer that's just grabbing somebody out of the Home Depot parking lot to install this. You want to make sure that you're going to get, if you have a 30-year shingle or better, you want to make sure you have actual starter shingle, actual hip and ridge shingles. Now we have synthetic underlayment, so no need for felt paper.
Okay, so I'm with you. I'm sorry to interrupt you,
No,
but I'm with you on all of that, but I'm the homeowner.
Okay.
I don't know what a starter shingle is.
But I show them, Alex.
Okay.
I will show them the difference in the adhesive strip being 1 inch and 6 inches, and the wind being able to
So
get under
that
there.
was going to be my question. How do they know? So what you do is you say, this is what this is, and you show them
Absolutely.
that.
All of my consultants have what I call a roof in a bag. So they have a backpack.
Mm-hmm.
They can bust out a small piece of decking, a small piece of underlayment. They can build you a roof on your table and show you exactly what we're going to be going on with,
Mm-hmm.
exactly what that looks like. Because me, even coming in new to this industry, I thought my roof was just the shingles. And I think it's fair to say a lot of homeowners think that. They're not realizing how
They
many
just
layers
don't want
are
the
there.
water coming in.
Exactly. But it's what does that process look like on how we are going to be able to do that for you correctly. And that's really what you want in a roofer, is somebody that's going to be able to just explain the process and make it make sense for you.
Let's talk about the 3 biggest mistakes you find that roofers are making. Other than you.
Other than me, not me. We don't do that. That is one. I think using a 3-tab shingle, turning it around backwards for starter, and doing the same, cutting that up on the hip and ridge is kind of a cheaper out.
Shortcuts.
Yeah, it's a little shortcut that your average homeowner wouldn't notice. It's even hard for some people that have experience in roofing to know the difference, because you're just looking for the difference in a perforated edge versus the cut on the shingle when you're looking for it. So it makes it, most homeowners don't know that. And the problem with that is that 3-tab is only going to have a 55 to 60 mile per hour wind rating, to where your hip shingle will have 130. And so the ridge of your house is going to have half the wind rating of your field shingles. So what's the first thing that's going to happen in North Texas wind? You're going to lose it.
Yeah, right.
So that's a really big one that I see more often than not. And then in builder grade homes, we see a lot of roofs that are installed with not only felt paper, but sometimes just no underlayment at all.
Yes, I know.
Just nothing.
And not only that, some of them have cut back. I don't know if they are now, but they were for a while, cutting back on the underlayment, the decking.
Yeah.
They were using 3/8 inch decking on some production houses a few years ago. I don't know if they still are.
I inspected one. I almost fell through it. I mean, I weigh
I would go
110
through.
pounds. I'm not a huge person. And when I felt that decking start cracking underneath, I was going, get to a rafter, get to a rafter, get to a rafter. I'm about to fall through these people's house. So you see some things. And once that's covered up, your homeowner doesn't necessarily know the difference. One more I got to say is not removing a satellite dish and roofing and shingling underneath it. This is something.
Isn't that what Pookie's for?
I just know my personal, I don't manage a lot of our files anymore. When I did, that was a big thing that I looked for when I went out to my job site is, man, you're roofing around the satellite dish. It's going to leak. There's a good chance it's going to leak, and I don't want to come back.
But I don't touch satellite dishes, ma'am. That isn't what I do. You'll have to get the satellite company, and that could take, a week.
And I just prep my homeowner for that. I say, man, our roofers are not satellite guys. They're going to put it back up there where it was. We have like a 50-50 ratio of it working when that happens and it not working. I actually have found a guy that works for DirecTV on the side, and I can pay him $150 to come out and do it in a day. So when we do have a problem, we have found a solution for that.
So if you hear the word Pookie coming out of your roofer's mouth, be very... Run.
Quickly.
Kimba says run. Okay, real quick, because we're going to run out of time here. How do you deal with insurance companies when they don't cover, if you have an insurance company that isn't going to cover the cost of the replacement of your roof? How do you deal with that typically?
I love this. I believe in everybody in my company having their hat and wearing it well. So we actually have an in-house supplement team that handles this for us. And they'll go in, my reps do a really great job of documenting the damage, proving, sometimes we have to pull IRC codes, and just having that conversation with the adjuster of, hey, the homeowner has a right within their policy to have their property rebuilt correctly, and this is what it's going to cost to rebuild it correctly, and then educating the homeowner on that too, because a lot of times they'll trust the insurance company over the contractor, and I understand fully why, because Allstate, you're in good hands, and that's what the TV says, and that's what you expect as a homeowner, and you have every right to expect that. But the truth of the matter is a good contractor is going to be in your corner. Make sure you get proper pricing. Make sure that this gets fixed, and make sure that it gets fixed correctly.
Well, part of of course, a lot of times when we have a problem with our roof or we have a tornado come through, it's an emergency. We don't have the money. We don't have a bunch of money sitting in the bank for that.
No, yeah.
We needed a new bass boat.
Right.
We didn't.
I understand. I needed a new Malibu this summer, so I understand.
I needed a bass boat, man. Now I got
Yeah.
to get a roof. What the
Yeah,
heck,
I know.
you know?
Buzzkill. I understand.
And so what they'll do is they'll go out and they'll find, because you can always go down the street and find a cheaper roofer. You know, they're there. There's plenty of them. I just had a client that had a roof done on their house a few years ago, and I was already in there having that roofer back fixing stuff because the roof was leaking. And I turned it over to the homeowner. I said, he worked for you, so you all need to, and it was a good roofer. They came back, stood behind their work, and they
That's what matters.
did what they needed to do. And like I was saying earlier, when we were talking about BBB, that is exactly how you rate how a business that you're thinking about doing business with. I believe that's one of the first things you have to know is how do they deal with the issues.
I agree. I do like BBB to know that. I mean, I like people to know about the BBB. It's a little bit of a pay-to-play game. It's not my favorite. I don't think it's it's a really great place to start. Google reviews and Facebook, social medias, but I really just like people to just take an overall look at the company. You can't make everybody happy. So one negative thing on there, like you said, how did they respond? What was the nature of the complaint? Overall, how many positive reviews do they have? And things like that. I know that we have almost 100 reviews on Google, and most of those are really, really, really great reviews. And I'm really proud of our reviews and being able to offer those references.
Yeah. So also, I have a question here for you. How often should someone have their roof inspected? And is there a particular reason? I mean, do you just go, well, bad weather came through last night, I need to get it inspected? I know that's legitimate, but should you just have a company come through and inspect your roof maybe once a year, once every couple of years, or do you want to just wait till you see water coming in?
You definitely do not want to wait till you see water coming in. And I tell people annually. Now, if I had my preference, it would be every 6 months when the seasons change. The reason for that being is that sometimes that initial hailstorm comes through and it knocks some of those granules loose, but it makes the hail damage really hard to see. And the matting of the shingle is still broken. So sometimes after a couple more rainstorms go through, you're able to see that damage a little bit more. And the more often that you get your roof looked at and inspected, especially here in the DFW market, you're going to be able to hopefully catch it before you have water coming into your house. And now you don't only have a roof claim, you have interior stuff to go through too.
Right.
So the name of the game is really finding that damage before it hits. You have rotted decking, molded insulation, and sheetrock falling on your face. Hopefully we're finding the problem and then correcting the functionality of the roof prior to that. So 6 to 12 months is my easy answer.
Wow, that's interesting, because I imagine most people never even think about it until they have a problem.
No.
That's when they call.
Yes.
Yeah. And
Yes.
I mean, occasionally, I pick up little pieces of shingles in the driveway and I just kind of throw them in the trash.
Yeah, okay. That's small enough.
I wonder which neighbor's house that came off of.
Yeah, well,
But of course it's my house. So if I find tell us some of the things to look for to know it's probably time to call the roofer. So you find the pieces of shingle, and that's a dead giveaway, right?
That's a dead giveaway. I tell people, if you're at a place where you're seeing black stuff on your roof, that's algae. That really goes to show you a roof's age and how many hailstorms that's been through. You can kind of gauge that. We have a couple a year here in the DFW area, and if your roof is 5, 7, 10 years old and it's never been looked at, and it's old enough to be having that algae and stuff like that, your new roof will be prettier. So let's see if you can get qualified for one. But another couple things that you want to look for is damage on your soft metals. A lot of people have wind turbines and the hail will hit it and it'll just stop moving. Sometimes even make this really irritating noise that you just can't help but notice. But any of the soft metals on your roof are a really good indication when hail hits it. But if you don't want to get up there and you can't see from the ground, a little safer way to do that is your AC unit. That hail damage is going to show really easy on your AC unit too.
So the unit, the part that's sitting outside, the compressor part,
right.
If it's all dented up and
Sure sign.
Sometimes I see roofs, and I'm driving through a neighborhood and I look at roofs and I see the outline of the plywood underneath it. I see all these lines. What is that?
That's usually from the house settling, the rafters settling a little bit. And that's one, that's a little bit unfortunate because sometimes whenever you go to replace the roof without reframing the top of it, you will see that. So a really good way to fix that problem to me is, if you have a builder grade 25-year shingle on your roof right now, when you get your roof replaced, just go ahead and pay the little additional upgrade cost. Most roofers will throw that in for you to upgrade to a better system. Relatively cheap. If it comes down to it, I'll usually give that to people at cost just to go ahead and upgrade it because it's going to be a better system, and I know it's going to be a better system for my customer. But the great thing about a 30-year shingle is that it's architectural cut.
So does a 30-year shingle really last 30 years? That's the question.
It doesn't last.
So
30
what is
years.
that? What does that really mean when they say a 30-year shingle?
It means that if you never have any weather that's going to affect this, that it has the ability to last 30 years. I do think that it's just the name of it is a little misleading to people.
So if you live in Eden.
Right, yeah. Yes. And the Lord has a protective cloud over your home and no
right.
storm hits you.
It never rains and it's never over 70 degrees.
Exactly. Then that's kind of what you can expect out of that shingle. But most of the time in DFW, roofs last 5 to 7 years and they need to be replaced at that point.
Well, one of the things that I talk about a lot with my clients is when they see a lot of the gravel that is on the roof. So the shingle is made up of basically a tar mat, and it's got bazillions of little pieces of sand size, basically gravel is what it is, some sort of stone embedded in it. And one of the ways you can tell if you're about to have a problem with your roof is when that stuff starts washing off.
Yes.
And it bears that is actually what's sort of holding the whole shingle together. When you start losing the gravel on it, or the sand, I guess you would call it, I call it gravel, is it makes that tar bare. And so it's then exposed to ultraviolet light, which really starts eating away at it.
It really does. It makes the shingle so brittle. And the problem with that is any wind or anything that you have comes and will even tear the shingle. A lot of people see their shingle torn. So missing granules is a really good sign that it's just about that time. And you'll see them come down your gutters and things like that.
You see them wash out on the sidewalk, then you know you've
Yeah.
But if you have if you have a hailstorm, or like a real heavy downpour of rain for a few days, it'll really knock those things off of there.
It really will.
And so you want to keep an eye. And the older they get, the more brittle they get, the more you lose them, blah, 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 on and on. What about, now we're going to be, right now we just are in North Texas, this is what we call winter.
Right.
Where it's like
Yes.
60 degrees every day instead of 100 degrees every day.
I'll take it. I'm not a cold person. I don't like it.
But here in a few weeks, we're going to have the spring coming up, and we're going to have a bunch of animals that want to nest in your attic.
Yeah.
And the first thing they do is they go, I think I'll dig a hole in this shingle.
Yeah.
And make a big hole in the roof and build a nest there and enjoy the spring.
Down to the soffit and everything. Yeah. Yeah.
What is a preventative, or is there a preventive way to do that? Or I guess the real question is, if you hear squirrels running through your attic, maybe that's time to call Kimba.
It is, because they're getting in somewhere, and where an animal can get in, water can get in also. So it's frustrating to have small animals chewing on your soffit and through your roof and in your decking
wires
and all. And yes, all of the things that you don't want the squirrels in. So there's no your roof does have penetrations. We have to have exhaust and things like that. And some of these little critters are sneaky. But, ideally we want to make sure that the roof's sealed up really, really, really well. And if there's animals getting in there, we need to identify where they're coming in at.
So if you have a animal that continues to come through the same spot, should you put a little piece of metal in there or something that they're not going to want to chew on so good? Or what do you guys do normally? Or do you just patch and repair?
Yeah,
Patch,
that's usually
repair.
what I do. And then if there's an exterminator needed, then we got to bring in somebody else. But
kill the sucker.
Or rehome them. I don't know. Maybe exterminator was a not political way to go.
Send them next door. All right.
Yeah.
My next door neighbor, she goes, one day she came over, she goes, I keep finding all of these like peanut shells in my yard. And I go, yeah, I've been baiting the squirrels. I've been throwing the,
I'm trying to get them off my.
they
out of my
love
attic.
you now. They love you now.
That's funny. That is funny.
Well, this has been so much fun. Thank you for
Definitely.
spending the day with me. I really appreciate it.
No,
I'm
I appreciate you having me.
very
on,
happy
Alex.
for your success.
Thank you.
And you're an amazing, amazing lady. And
Thank
I
you.
hope you'll do this again with me.
Definitely will.
I'm
Love
so
to be
happy
back.
for your success and continue doing well with RKG Roofing and Construction.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Ziggy Becker, our producer. Thank you, Kimba Garcia with RKG Roofing and Construction. Thank you, On Air Media. We love you. You guys are wonderful. Thank you to all of our sponsors. And thank you to my very patient wife who helped me get ready for this morning. And of course, thank you to all of our listeners and our audience. Hang in there. We just got over 1,000 followers on our Facebook page. I'm very happy about that because it seems like it took forever. I really appreciate everybody that listens and follows us and watches us and participates. Don't forget our Twitter page. Don't forget our YouTube. And don't forget our podcast, because this will be up tomorrow or the next day on podcast. This show will be. Thank you so much. And until next week, this is Alex Guthrie signing off.
You can catch Remodel Revolution anytime. Follow the show on the website, remodelrevolutionradio.com, or on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest, using the handle @Remodel Revolution Radio. You can always listen to the show on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, and TuneIn. And watch the show anytime on YouTube.